absolutely wild as Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you.
They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them.
And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once, if you would.
You want to see it?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
Hey, nothing like kicking off your week with a cup full of Polish Joe and Mick and me. It's Monday morning. It's earlier than normal. I don't know where my glasses are at. It's going to be a good day.
When you get to start early and talk professional wrestling, especially AWA, you're damn right it's going to be a good day.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, it's early. It's early. It's early. I don't like to get up early, but you know, Joe, you're an early bird, so we'll plow through.
We'll plow through. I'm on the tail end of a migraine, and now seeing Chupik, it just got worse. Got it.
If this doesn't set the tone for people's week, then frankly, I don't know.
That's absolutely right. Yep, we're ready.
Grab a cup of Joe. I don't care if it's a Monday. Add a little Bailey's. You only live once, and have a good hour or so that we do.
Yeah, well, we are here to talk AWA wrestling, and we are thankful that you are along for the ride. Last week, we did our tribute to Hulk Hogan. A little bit longer than our normal shows, but I felt like there was a lot to get into. Yep. Before we get to the shilling, and because I do have the promotional stuff, because we didn't do it last week because I didn't feel like it was really proper. I didn't put this on the sheet, guys, but let me kind of put a message out there to folks. When we do this show, and we love people commenting, rate, review, subscribe, comment. All of that helps the algorithm, and it helps us, get into the optimal searches for YouTube and for Google and everything, and we love that. Here's what I will say. When we created this community, it's a community of positivity. It's a community where we can all bust on each other, but we do it in fun. If you're going to come out here and you're going to actively be an asshole, we don't have time for that. Your shit's going to get blocked. You're going to get deleted. You can say whatever you want. You're like, well, I'm just trying to make a point. No, you can't give me a piece of shit and tell me it's chocolate. Okay? We know exactly what you're doing. Your shit's going to get deleted. You're going to get blocked. Last warning, because I'm not dealing with it. And it's not, well, you're soft, you have thin skin. No, we can take it. It's just a matter, this is a small community. It is a tight-knit community. It is a fun community. And if you're going to be the one that's going to piss in the cornflakes, then get the hell out. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. And I know who you are. I know your aliases. And that's fine. You can timestamp. But if you're going to sit there and you guys know who you are, I'm making this perfectly clear. This is where I'm starting. No more. Cut the shit out. You're going to get blocked. No more. End of story.
Sounds like a loser leaves match town is in the forthcoming.
Loser leaves match.
Loser leaves match.
Loser leaves town match.
Well, it's all right to me.
Yeah. How many gummies you got back there, Joe? Have you started those already?
I only got 5.
Yeah. How many have you taken already? A loser leaves match.
No. Oh no, I got way too much business.
I think Matchtown must be right down the road from Kayfabe City.
All right, so sorry, I had to get that out because we've got a few people that are out there that are like, well, I'm just trying to. No, we know who you are. We just don't have time for it here. Okay,
Yep.
This is the
Amen.
only time I'm going to mention it. No more. Knock it off. That being said, guys, we do have kind of a fun week coming up. We do have I do have our pinfall membership, and the reason I want to say this, guys, of course, we've got our. No, I don't want to do that. Hold on. Okay, we've got our pinfall membership, and the reason that I'm really going to let you guys know about this is because for this week only, tomorrow, we have our July watch along that we are going to do, that we are going to make available to everybody. So you can see, if you are not a pinfall member, you can see what our watch along is. What is our watch along this month, Joe?
Bad Boys of the AWA.
Bad boys. What you gonna do? No. That's getting too close into Hulkamania. But you get access to the podcast a day early, which you're getting today if you're a pinfall member. You get our watch along. You're going to get Back to Ringside. You're going to get those tomorrow for free. So if you're wondering, hey, what's the watch along like? That's what you're going to get tomorrow. If you're wondering Back to Ringside, you're going to get that tomorrow. So it's the one that we're going to give you guys. If you're not a pinfall member, check it out. We think that you really like it because Mick and I were talking over the weekend that we do think that people really do like the watch along and Back to Ringside. So there we go. I think I'll throw the T Public thing on the banner as well, but I think we got a no Q&A today. Unless you guys want to piggyback off anything that I said, we'll get into the Q&A.
No, other than the fact that thank you for making the point, and we're not shutting anybody down. We're not being censors here or anything. But you know what? There's
First Amendment rights, free speech.
There's ways of saying things, and if you've got constructive criticism, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to go on, on the YouTube channel in the comment section, or in our inboxes or whatever, and just be a jerk, just to be a jerk. We don't have any time for you. So well said.
Yeah, and with that First Amendment right, but you have your First Amendment right to say what you want, but you also can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. Everything has some guardrails. So basically, to simplify it, just don't be a dick. Just come here and enjoy AWA wrestling.
Yeah.
There you go.
You don't watch.
There you go.
Yeah, well, there's Progress Wrestling based out of London, and Justin Clapper, who runs our Instagram. I went to a show years ago with my friend Ryan and his fiance, now wife Molly. And the first rule of Progress Wrestling: don't be a dick. And they say that, and that's ultimately, it's just a rule for life. Don't be a dick, okay? Please, because if you do, we're not going to see your wiener anymore. So let's move on.
Quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, so quit being a dick to me.
Why don't you go back to Matchtown?
Right? It's in Kayfabe City.
It is, right. Right on the corner of Broadway and over the top.
Oh, my God. I love that. Oh, Matchtown. All right, let's get to it, Joe. I will let you read them, and I'm going to sit here and do.
All right, our first question this week comes from Gary DeLuca, and it's for Mick. Who was the first wrestler you interviewed on Saturday Night Ringside?
Wow, great question. I think we've even used that for a trivia question once or twice on the program here. That guy right there, late Larry Cameron. And I think Larry was just about to embark on his AWA career. He was a mainstay in the Twin Cities for Eddie Sharkey's Pro Wrestling America promotion, and then went on to WCW, of course. But yeah, Lethal Larry Cameron was the first guy that I interviewed on the show way back in the spring, early summer of 1988. What a great guy he was.
Loved his promos and the very short time that he was in the AWA.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think he would have gone someplace if he didn't unfortunately pass away.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Our next question, and I'll apologize in advance for any mispronunciations on your names. With a name like Chupik, trust me, I'm used to it. So with that said, question 2 is from Stephen Hind or Hindi. Anyone know whatever happened to luscious Lars Anderson?
There is a photograph, a recent one. I'm not sure if that was at the most recent Fan Fest down in North Carolina or not, but that is luscious Lars Anderson, real name, of course, Larry Heinemi, mainstay in the AWA in the 1970s, and then went on to national fame as part of the threesome of the alleged Anderson brothers, Ole, Lars, and Gene, of which Gene was the only legitimate Anderson. But that's luscious Lars, and I believe I read where he has just turned 90 years old.
Wow.
God bless him. One of the tough guys in the business, either as Heinemi or Anderson, luscious Lars.
And if you can make it to 90 after being in this business, that's like making it to 110.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I said again, legendary tough guy. He was one of the guys at Vern's training camp that was not very nice to the late Playboy Buddy Rose, Paul Perchman, when Paul was going through camp, to say the very least. But yeah, he's still with us. Still looks the same. Couple of wrinkles here and there, but my God, 90 years old. God bless him.
But to get to your training camp comment, were any of the rookies or trainees, were any of them treated well?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it depends on what you mean by treated well. They all went through the same torture. They all went through the same living hell, which is why, you'd get 200 guys turning up on the first day. And then by the second day, it was down to about 20.
Yeah.
Just the squats alone or, deep knee bends or whatever killed the average guy off. But yeah, it was hell on earth back in the day with Vern's camp.
Moving on to our third question. It's from Alan Schutte. Sorry again if I butchered the name. He asks, was Butcher Vachon the real-life brother of Mad Dog? There was such a size difference. And when did Butcher first appear in the AWA?
Well, first of all, contrary to the norm in professional wrestling, he was an actual brother of Mad Dog Vachon. They didn't put the Olsenowski brothers or anything else together that weren't brothers. That is an early shot of Butcher Vachon, and he wasn't Butcher Vachon back then. He was Nikolai Zolotov. That's right. Nikolai Zolotov, and this was even pre-AWA days.
That's what we all need, is Zolotov every once in a while, right?
Every once in a while you do, yeah. And a couple of gummies and you're in for a hell of a ride. But Nikolai Zolotov, a.k.a. Butcher Vachon, he actually came into the AWA and teamed with the Mad Dog in the late 1960s. But he was here prior to the AWA, and I love that picture. And of course, when he teamed with Mad Dog, he mysteriously moved to Algeria. When he was Nikolai Zolotov, he was from Russia. So once again, the transcontinental world of professional wrestling. But there is the late Paul the Butcher Vachon, and what a great guy he was.
Okay, let's get moving on to question 4, and it's from Stanletki. I seem to recall a wrestler setting some kind of record on the leg press at a local gym back in the 1970s. He asks, was that the mighty Igor?
Nope, it was not the mighty Igor at all. Mighty Igor, the late Dick Garza, the guy that set the record. I'm starting to sound like YouTubing. Matchtown was the late Nature Boy Roger Kirby, who came into the AWA in the middle 1970s. He was a main talent all around the country, particularly in the central states before he came to the AWA. Teamed up with Lord Alfred Hayes for a time. With Mean Gene, they're off of AWA TV, probably 1976-ish. Roger went to a sports and health club, Northwest Sports and Health Club here in the Twin Cities area. And allegedly, and I was there, but me lifting a weight is like lifting a cup of coffee. So I don't know how much actual weight was on the bar, but allegedly 2,800 pounds in the leg press. I don't know, if that was an actual number. I do know this. Roger Kirby turned about 8 shades of red and the rainbow and was shaking violently the first time he tried that weight, and got up, moved around a little bit, came back and did it again. If it wasn't 2,800 pounds, it was an awful lot of weight, and it was actually covered by the Minneapolis Tribune back in the day. So there has to be at least some degree of truth to it. But nonetheless, yeah, Roger Nature Boy Kirby, not the Mighty Igor.
2 things are true in professional wrestling. Card is subject to change, and a wrestler's height, weight, and hometown are usually suspect.
I am blown away. That is news to me, and I may become physically ill. I'm so shocked.
Is that from what I said, or the fact that you got to listen and look at me all morning?
Well, I get a double dose of nausea. Yeah,
I just wanted to clarify.
You're right.
Our next question is from Marcus Buff Bardwell. Marcus Bardwell asks, can Mick show one of those good old boy pictures from the AWA? The guys who might have been enemies on TV, but were really good friends away from the camera.
I love this picture. And, Joe, I know you kind of previewed it. If Chris can get this one up on the screen of the good old boy.
I think Chris is having some technical issues. And
he is, huh?
I think so. He was earlier, and
did we lose him?
No, I think. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there he is. He's back. Chris is not in that photograph. Chris, put the photograph up. That is the late Kenny Sodbuster J, and of course George Clooney, Brad Pitt, our good buddy Baron von Raschke. And I don't recall if this was at a local wrestling show or if this was at one of Kenny's histiocytosis benefits. But again, enemies for a time in the ring when Baron was doing his nasty German villain persona, and then of course great friends later on, both inside the ring when he had turned babyface and outside the ring. 2 of the nicest guys ever in the wrestling business in Baron von Raschke and the Sodbuster Kenny J. I can't believe it's going to be about 2+ years, 2.5 years, almost 3 years since Kenny left us. But Baron is still with us, thank God. But there's your good old boys picture.
Yeah, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't wish a belated happy birthday to Baron, who just turned 85.
Unreal.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And from the Hall of Fame from those matches, he still has the power of the claw.
He did. He was uncontrollable, Baron, with that claw in Waterloo. We thought he was going to possibly be arrested for his behavior, but he looked great. Baron getting along with a walker, and my God, he's bouncing the walker up and down like he's body slamming it. We got a little nervous there for a while, thinking Baron may take a bump right in front of us, but all ended well.
Always living the gimmick. You got to love it. Our next question, our sixth question, and this last name I can pronounce, Sheila Lee Modeski. She says, longtime AWA fan here. I loved the old days. We always hear about Kenny J, but I loved George Gadaski. Any pictures of good old George?
We have a picture of good old George. There he is, good old George. George Costi, the late George Scrap Iron Gadaski. And Joe, he has been gone for 42 years.
Holy shit.
It is beyond comprehension. Kenny J and George Gadaski, no question about it, the two most beloved AWA enhancement talents, jobbers, whatever you want to call them, for back in the day. This guy worked so hard, George Gadaski. Not only did he wrestle, of course, not only did he referee, he set up and took down the ring and drove it from town to town, hundreds of miles. And then he would get in the ring after he set it up and either referee or wrestle and then take it to the next town. Just a gem of a guy, and he passed way too soon. I believe George was in his early 50s. He had a brain tumor, and we lost the scrap iron. But one of the great moments in AWA wrestling history is when Crusher picked him as a tag team partner on television, and wasn't Lord Alfred Hayes just a little upset at the commoner he had to get in the ring with, the man with the dirty fingernails, Gadzuki. And George Gadaski's moment in the sun. Terrific guy. Miss George a lot.
George passed before I started with the AWA, so I never had the pleasure of watching him. But in my time in the business, I never heard anybody say a bad thing about George.
And wasn't there a story that George was actually taking some wood from Vern Gagne's training camp, his barn, and built a barn of his own on his farm with the wood that he was stealing from Vern? Yeah. George built a rather nice farm, I believe, in Amory, Wisconsin, at the expense of Vern Gagne. So there's another guy that probably cost Vern millions over the years.
I'm sure Vern didn't miss it, but
yeah,
still, that's a funny story. Our next question from Tim McDonald. Does the crew think Curt Hennig was one of the all-time great AWA champions?
Well, that's for all of us. I would say, and this, my immediate response is no. Curt was an all-time great wrestler in the AWA. One of the top 3 or 4 or 5, maybe of all time, certainly of the 80s. But as an enduring AWA champion, it was a cup of coffee, really, for Curt in the scheme of things. When you put him up against the Bockwinkels, the Vern Gagnes, Crushers, Mad Dogs, you can't really rate Curt as one of the great champions just because of the short tenure. That's my take on it.
Agreed with that assessment 100%. I said it when we were down in Iowa that I consider Curt Hennig to be one of the greatest wrestlers, greatest overall talents. Let me expand to that. That I've seen and had the pleasure to work with. He could literally do it all. And take a look at some of his matches. He made me believe. He really did.
Yeah, I'm with you guys that Curt Hennig overall as a performer, as a wrestler, is an all-time great. As we've done this podcast, and one of the reasons that I wanted to do it is to kind of learn the history of the things that I didn't know. When you're talking about the Verns and the Bockwinkels and the Crushers and the Mad Dogs, if we're talking about just AWA specific, I can't put him there just based on the lineage of the people that held it and the amount of time that they held it. Now, if you want to tell me that, Curt Hennig is one of the best ever to not hold a WWF or WWE championship, I will put him at the top of that list 10 times out of 10. But if we're talking just about the AWA, I can't. Yeah, based on what I've learned from you guys, he doesn't crack that list with all the others.
Well, yeah, and it is strictly a matter of tenure, Chris. Had he been around in the AWA for any length of time, things might have been different. We talked.
Or if the AWA would have, if it would have lasted maybe another, even just 5 years.
Yeah, very good point. And, we've said many times that Kurt didn't hit his stride until he became Mr. Perfect. And then all of a sudden you saw this bump machine and this charismatic absolute superstar. In the AWA, you started to see a little bit of what you were going to see with Mr. Perfect when he went out east. But as far as overall in-ring talent, phenomenal. Tenure-wise as a champion, I don't think you can put him up there with the greats.
Yeah, just a comment about his elevation when he became Mr. Perfect. I think a big part of that had to do that he was on a grander stage.
Yes.
And he rose to the occasion and elevated himself, his gimmick, to incredible heights.
Yeah, he did.
Kurt would have had a longer run in the WWE if he wasn't, shall we say, just such a teenager still. Love to pull some pranks and do some shit and be one of the boys, old school wise. And, unfortunately that just didn't work out.
There's superstars in the business, and then there's Curt Hennig.
Yeah.
That simple. Yeah. Missed the guy.
Big time. Question number 8 is from Bob Stackhouse.
Okay.
I attended the last AWA fan gathering in Bloomington and had the chance to talk with the guy I thought was very underrated, Steve Olsenowski. Just my 2 cents, but I think he'd make a great guest on your show.
We all do. I think it's been a matter of scheduling with Steve. There's a great shot of a young Steve Olsenowski. It doesn't look quite that way today. He's more of a distinguished businessman, insurance salesman type, which he actually is these days. Steve, he was really kind of a jack of all trades in the AWA, not only as a babyface wrestler, but then of course under the hood of Mr. Go, when the other real Go gone and went back in the Larry Zbyszko championship days. But yeah, it's a matter of scheduling. Steve's a busy guy. We've seen him at a couple of events over the years, and he looks great. He absolutely does. And super guy, great to work with. Funny guy, funny as a stitch. He's got that dry sense of humor. We'll keep plugging and try to get Steve O, or whatever. We'll try to get him on the show.
Okay, this is more of a request than a question, but I got to preface it by saying I like it. It's from Charlie Cash Clevens. Polish Joe is always referring to Medusa before and after her, shall we say, physical transformation. Can you guys share a picture of her after one of her enhancements? I know Joe would appreciate it. I think most red-blooded American male would appreciate it, but I will say this. I enjoy the real Medusa more. Not saying I didn't enjoy the enhanced version, but as she said, I'm glad I got rid of those damn things. Look, there's Deuce.
Wow. I mean, and this is in her Alundra Blaze days, according to the autograph there. And yeah, Medusa, at the time, for whatever reason, maybe it was a request by WWF. I don't know. Maybe it was a personal choice. There's a couple of enhancements there, and I'm not talking about her fingertips. Deuce, yeah, there's been some physical transformations over the years, but the guy hit it right on the head. Joe, if anybody is going to enjoy this photograph, it's you.
Oh yeah, and you hate it.
Anyway, we had the opportunity and the pleasure to hang out with Medusa a little bit in Waterloo at our question and answer session. She still looks great. I don't know. Did Deuce just turn 60, I believe, or thereabouts?
She's older than that. I think she's, and this makes it even more incredible. I think she's 63 or 64, Mick, and she still looks phenomenal.
Oh my God, she looks like she could get in the ring and wrestle, today. Looks just great.
As far as her enhancements go, if I'm remembering correctly, she actually had that done first when she was in the AWA. And the reason for it was they were doing Playboy was doing a Women of Wrestling feature. And so she got the enhancements done for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Kind of similar to your Playgirl experience. When you got that enhancement. That's really something. So you and Deuce have
anybody that looks at this face knows that if I did any enhancements, I should get my fucking money back.
We love you, Medusa.
Yes,
we do.
Okay, our next question is from Ed Braveman. It's a question for you and I, Mick. I loved the Crusher. He was my hero. How about that? But do you think he overstayed his welcome?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And that's not to denigrate Crusher. I would probably want to cue Chris to get the Crusher. Chris is having
go ahead and talk. I got him.
Some headphone difficulties. Did Crusher outstay his welcome? I don't know if he outstayed his welcome because he was popular right to the end, but certainly his best years were way behind him. Crusher has started wrestling in the early 1950s as his real name, his given name, Reggie Lasowski. When he came to the AWA territory, when it became the AWA, he came here in 1962 as a heel, and then, of course, turned babyface for the duration in 1965. When Crusher, when he's wrestling Abdullah the Butcher here, so I'm guessing this was probably 84. I would bet that's really, really close. Crusher would have been 58 years old at this point. Still looked in great shape, but he had slowed down tremendously. And I think part of the reason that he and Baron Von Raschke as a tag team didn't get over the way they would have years earlier. They put him in the ring against the Road Warriors, and you could see the difference between the two teams. But in terms of overall longevity, Crusher, no doubt about it, one of the all-time greats. Probably should have hung it up a little bit sooner than he did.
Well, I agree. His promos were still as good as ever.
Yeah.
Maybe what they should have done is sort of what they did with the Fabulous Ones for a short bit, where they had Crusher. I think they should have made Crusher a manager who could occasionally do the worst finishing move in the history of the business and apply the Bolo punch.
The Bolo push?
Yeah. Yeah, and yes, the Crusher is still my all-time favorite, but facts are facts, and that Bolo punch was he said it was 100 megaton watt bomb, but it was more like a Black Cat firecracker at the end, I think.
You're being generous. I would say, and I told this story before too, in the early 2000s, Crusher made, I believe, one of his last appearances. And this was at Cauliflower Alley Club. And at that point, Crusher's been retired for, 15, 16 years already. He came up and he was getting an award, and they brought him up there, and he tried to do his bellowing Crusher voice. And he just couldn't do it. He started coughing a little bit, and it was kind of sad to see. He was still Crusher. He wanted to be Crusher. He wanted people to remember him as Crusher. What a legacy.
Yeah, my only tainted spot on his legacy was when he went to the WWF and for a very short time was the Crusher Machine.
And that was strictly for the AWA cities.
Yeah.
Vince knew exactly what he was doing, particularly in Milwaukee. Crusher wasn't going to be a main star for WWF, WWE, no way, shape, or form. It was strictly, I'm going to pluck him from Vern, and I'm going to make money in the AWA towns.
Yeah, and that just, it wasn't the cherry on top of a Sunday, I will have to say. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It's from Luann Heinz. It's for you, Mick. In your conversations with Mr. Bockwinkel over the years,
I had a few.
Did he ever express his opinion of Rick Martel?
Absolutely, he did. And if we can get a great photograph, that's from Cauliflower Alley Club. And I forget the year. I want to say it's probably about 14, 15 years ago. Nick opened up a little bit, towards the end of his life and talked about some of the guys that he had been in the ring with. And I can tell you explicitly, he was a huge supporter of Rick Martel. I believe Nick referred to him as a classy gentleman, and it was a night off working with Rick Martel. And that seems to be the story that I hear from a lot of people, both as a babyface in the AWA, and then of course his heel run as the model. Rick Martel, a stellar attraction, but outside the ring, just a nice guy, consummate professional, very fan friendly. So yeah, Nick was all over. He was very high in his praise of Rick Martel.
Never heard a bad word about Rick Martel in the business. Had a very short opportunity of time dealing with him, and just nothing bad. I mean, and it's very rare in this business. I mean, everybody has in and outside of the ring, everybody has their own little baggage, but Rick presented himself, dare I say, in a similar fashion to Nick.
Absolutely. And, that's probably one of the things that Nick admired most about him. Rick Martel was a professional through and through. He defended the business. He was a representative of an athlete and a wrestler in the business, in the truest sense of the word wrestler. So, yeah, and they had some outstanding matches. My God, Bockwinkel and Martel over the years in the AWA. Love that picture, the camaraderie of the business.
Agreed. Would love to get Rick on the show, but he sort of distanced himself from the business. I think just started to do a couple of things here and there, but that would be a great get if we could get him on. Question 12 is from Michael Kingsbury. What kind of guy was Mean Gene? Was he as cool as he was on TV?
Well, there's Mean Gene being Mean Gene.
Well, people didn't know that he was also a doctor.
That's true. He's very thorough examination there. Gene Okerlund, the people that love Gene, and I'm one of them, absolutely loved him. When he first came onto the scene, I got to tell you, I had a raised eyebrow because Gene Okerlund's wrestling announcer style was different than Marty O'Neill's, like night and day. Gene was kind of the carnival barker. He was an AM radio disc jockey. He had that booming voice, but this guy was as mischievous and as one of the boys as anybody. And that picture right there, I think that says it all right there, Joe. That's Mean Gene Okerlund.
The simplest and shall we say, I'll just say the simplest way to describe Mean Gene is he loved to have fun.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that. But my interactions, Gene was gone by the time that the AWA, or I started with the AWA, but I worked with him quite a bit when we were doing the pay-per-views. And that voice that he had when he would call me out of the blue just to talk, but it was, by the way, that was always after dinner, and you could always hear some ice clanking in a glass in the background. But
maybe he just needed to be hydrated. Maybe he was just.
Well, he did. Yeah, he did live in Florida, so you've got a point there, Chris.
Yeah.
But that voice of his. Mick, when you talked about the transition from Marty O'Neill to Mean Gene, I still remember when that happened as a kid, how disappointed I was that Marty O'Neill was no longer on there, because that's all I had ever known.
Right.
But when Gene started, Marty, every once in a while they'd throw him in on an interview, but Gene took over, and he was definitely not Marty O'Neill. He was, as Jesse gave him the name, Mean Gene Okerlund. Or was that Hogan that gave him the nickname? One or the other.
One or the other. And I would argue that Gene was as important when the WWF started their nationwide trampling of the vegetation. He was as important to that product as any of the wrestlers.
Yep.
And great singing voice. And again, any guy that can introduce me to his friend as, this is Mick Karsh, he's a close personal friend of Eddie Sharkey. I don't know. I don't know why he did that. He could have said anybody. I didn't even know Gene knew that I knew Eddie Sharkey, but what a character. One of the all-time classic professional wrestling characters.
That introduction that he gave, it's both a compliment and a rib, I think, all wrapped into one.
All wrapped into one. And that was Gene. That was Mean Gene. Great guy.
Funny as hell. Oh, I enjoyed working with him. Our next question comes from Lexi Elliott.
Okay, Lexi.
And we've had this question a few times, so we'll address it again, but can you guys get Curtis Axel on the show, please?
Look at that picture. Look at that picture. That's the young Joe Henig, Curtis Axel, in the arms of his grandfather, Larry the Axe Henig. I would absolutely love to get Joe on the program. I think myself and Chris, we have tried every which way but loose to get this guy. A couple of times he had other gigs. He went back to WWE for a while. Then he went to AEW for a while. Kind of been all over the place. Very, very busy, very busy guy. Can you imagine if we had him on the show and maybe Lenise Henig and Hank Henig and just did an hour or two about the Henig legacy in the business? I would absolutely love to do that.
And that would be an easy 2 hours
Easy
to do between Larry, with all due respect to Joe, just between Larry and Kurt, that would be an easy 2 hours to talk about. I mean, we've done it when we're sitting at a table at a restaurant or a bar with Lenise and Hank. Just in fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you got this picture from Lenise?
I did get the picture from Lenise, and it was kind of a soothing moment after Shire outbid me on the Larry Henig plaque in Waterloo. I needed some.
You're still holding that grudge, aren't you, Mick?
Forever. Absolutely forever. And I'll just add that to the list of grudges I have against that guy. But we never had the opportunity to sit with Larry Henig at our own home and drink a beer with him. But we did work with the guy. And Joe Henig, you have an open invitation. My God. Please. To be on our show. Well,
did you talk to him at Grand Slam?
I did.
And I mean, I know you'd been in contact with him. It's all about scheduling. And that's kind of what it boils down to with a lot of things. It's just a matter of scheduling and when we can get everything to vibe and line up.
And that was it. And Joe, he says, I really want to do your show. And, you know, I've seen him on a couple of podcasts, and he hasn't liked some of the questions that some of the guys have asked about Kurt.
Really?
What
are people asking him about Kurt?
Personal stuff, you know, more about the, I guess, the events surrounding Kurt's passing and things like that. And Joe, he's not real eager to talk about it at any length. And I think when he's pressed on it, he gets a little rankled. And I told him, I said, we aren't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the good stuff in the Henig legacy. And there is a shit ton of good stuff there.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get them.
The whole gotcha or sensationalism on the questions, you know, trying to just, some shit just should be left alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and that's, you know, guys, to kind of, you know, piggyback off of that, we've all been in the broadcasting business. We do this for fun, but we've all been in the broadcasting business and, you know, for, you know, on a professional level for many, many years. And we understand that the perception, right? Like anybody can do a podcast. That's great. But it's like there's a certain level of professionalism that I feel needs to be with everything. Some people like to do it to get clicks, to go viral. And I feel like if that's what you're doing it for, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Like we give each other a hard time, but it's all within it's all controlled. You know what I mean? I feel like some people are out there just we're going to be so over the top and outrageous, and we're going to get these sound bites and we're going to bait people into it. And I feel like that's just a disrespectful way to go about your business.
No question about it, Chris. And respect is the operative word there. Not only do we go out of our way to respect people and their wishes, a lot of times, you know, if a guest is iffy about being on the show, we've had people who said, I don't like to do podcasts. I don't like the questions that are asked. I'm not comfortable. And if we can, you or I will say, don't worry about that. You know, we'll contain our comments and our questions to this, such and such. You got to respect people's privacy, especially when you're talking about something as personal and as serious as the passing of Kurt.
Again, just let it rest, you know, find out the information, leave. If somebody wants to talk about their personal life, great, but let them initiate it.
Yes.
I think as close as we've come to upsetting somebody was me and Barry Darso, which, by the way, you know, Barry, you're supposed to be down in Waterloo.
Well, Joe, weren't you saying that Barry ran from you, though? I mean, he knew that you were going to be there.
No,
you did.
He walked quickly. He walked away.
No. The reality is, Chris is absolutely right, Joe. You've been doing a lot of talking about how Barry Darso did not show up for the Waterloo Hall of Fame because you were there and he was afraid you would kick his ass. And we're going to make sure that Barry knows that that's what you said.
I mean, you even had some yellow face paint so that way he could paint his face yellow.
Yep.
Like the yellow streak on his back. I mean, that's what I distinctly remember you texting me on the road and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see that chicken Barry Darso.
Yep. You did.
Yeah, I remember that.
There will come a day.
Bullshit.
But to get back to the Joe Hennig thing, I think one thing too, guys, to kind of piggyback off of your relationship with a lot of the people, and I mean, I've had problems with my computer with like the connections and everything. I don't have my mic plugged in. I'm going external, so hopefully this sounds okay. I think it's all about the relationship that you have too. If you've got that relationship with somebody, because if we did get the Hennigs on, you guys more so than I, have relationships with them that you can approach topics in a way that's more respectful of a friendship rather than this is an interview. I'm talking to you instead of with you.
There you go. And I have in my texting back and forth with Joe about him being on the show, I've mentioned maybe a memory I had about Kurt or Larry, and Joe is all over. He's, oh my God, I would love to talk about that stuff with you guys. Nobody talks about that with me. They talk about the other stuff. So we'll keep working, and Joe Henig is going to be a guest on this show.
Yeah, he will.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to our last question, and it's from Walt Stern. Did Bruiser Brody have the worst looking forehead in AWA history? Oh, God, there's a few of them that we could put on this list, but I know who I'd put at the top of mine. I think, Mick, you would agree.
Look at that. I mean, holy buckets. Chris, I know you get a little squeamish when we put that picture up there.
I feel like I've got to hit like a Journey "Don't Stop Believing" from the jukebox when you put a quarter in there.
That is, and actually, that's what the man does. We have seen some shoot interviews with Abdullah the Butcher, Larry Shreve, over the years, where he has actually, in front of the guy that's interviewing him, taken out a quarter or a 50-cent piece and inserted it into one of those coin slots in his forehead. That's the real deal. There are some, I would say he's not an AWA guy, but the late King Curtis had probably the worst forehead I've ever seen. Carlos Colon, Bruiser Brody. And Mad Dog, they're out there. But I got to tell you, for deep gouging, I mean, this guy looks like Stan Hansen missed the belt and went over Abdullah's head with his truck on the farm. That's dedication to your business, or it's outright being nuts, or a combination of both.
The actual process of blading, literally taking a small piece of a razor blade and cutting your own forehead. I suppose you get used to it after a while. I'm still trying to get over the initial, doing it the first time. It just takes something extra, I think. I really do.
Well, to the average guy on the street, think about a shaving cut, a shaving nick, how easy it is to get one of those.
Or a paper cut.
And you get, you're going for that pencil, whatever the hell that is. But look at how deep this guy went. And I don't know if that was intentionally or if, occasionally somebody gave him a boot while he was doing the deed. But that is, that's like a moon landing right there, folks.
Do either one of you guys know, did guys get paid extra to blade, to juice?
The story goes, red turns to green.
Yep.
That was the old, and that's what.
But I mean, going into the match, it's like, hey, if you blade, we'll give you an extra $100.
Yeah, I think that was pretty commonplace. And, I started to say Eddie Mansfield, who, exposed the whole shooting match on 2020, basically said the same thing. Red turns to green, and promoters will pay you more money. But he went, a step farther and said, this is how we do it. But nonetheless, to his question, that to me is probably, that's got to be right up there among AWA foreheads over the years.
Well, and you knew if you were a fan going to the matches and Abby, Abdullah, Brody, the original Sheik, if they were involved in a match, you knew that there was going to be color, and you were almost disappointed if they didn't blade during that match. People were literally out for blood, and had just come to expect it because it was a common occurrence with them.
Well, even more so after Mansfield was on 2020, then everybody's starting to look for it.
Yeah.
If they didn't know before that the blade was in a finger bandage or under a wristband or something, they did after that. And some of the guys I've said over the years, they had so much scar tissue, they didn't even need a blade anymore. All they had to do was have a sharp fingernail.
Yep.
Why bother with the blade? And no tape needed. use your own fingernail. I know Mad Dog did that on a couple of occasions. I'm guessing Captain Lou, who went berserk when he had a blade in his hand, might have gotten to that point too.
Wahoo did it to me 2 days after we're at the showboat, Monday morning in the office. Asked him how his forehead was doing. He pulled off the Band-Aid, and the cut was still pretty fresh. He just went, not even with a fingernail, he just pushed down, and blood started coming out again.
They earned their money over the years.
It takes a different breed to be inside that ring. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't even see it that much anymore. We saw it a little bit on SummerSlam over the weekend, but it's just not as common anymore. And it's interesting, Joe, when you were talking about Wahoo doing that. For a minute there, I thought you were going to say that he actually like did the blade to you and was kind of like showing you, because I know that he chopped you, and I thought that maybe he was gonna like and I'm being serious, that he was gonna actually like do the little blade to you and be like, hey, this is what we do.
Nope, literally just pushed down on his forehead right by where he had bladed 2 nights. So this would have been 36 hours after he bladed, maybe 40 hours, and pushed down, and blood starts coming out again.
Chris, to your point about not seeing it very often anymore, you're starting to see it a little bit more in WWE. AEW, of course, has been notorious for blood. When it stopped was when Linda McMahon was involved the first time in politics, and the WWE wanted to distance her from the real violence on television, and that's when they went to PG. You didn't see a lot of blood anymore.
I don't remember that timeline. But that's interesting. I mean, if that's how it lined up, I have no doubt, because it did seem like it went away. But that is kind of interesting that there was that connection, because I mean, at the end of the day, wrestling is just always trying. I feel like wrestling, more than any other industry, is just trying to position themselves as being like physical and violent, but also entertainment. And it's a fine line, because you've got so many external factors, whether or not we like it. You're talking about the business side, or you're talking about politics. Like, all of these external factors are now playing into like what kind of a product we get on television. Absolutely well said. You and I talked last night on the way to your soiree for SummerSlam. By the way, ribs were tremendous. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that very much. Ribs on the grill. But we were talking about that, and just the way wrestling has evolved, devolved, however you want to look at it, depending on your old school, new school, love, violence, hated. It's a production now. It is a big multi-billion-dollar production. It's not pro wrestling.
And along those lines, just this past weekend, I watched, it's on Netflix, but they go in behind the scenes of what it takes to do a production with the WWE.
Unreal.
And if you're a fan of professional wrestling, which if you're seeing this podcast, I mean, I don't think a casual observer is going to tune in, but do yourself a favor and take a look at what it takes behind the scenes to put on a WWE production. Now, mind you, what they're doing today is up here, and the AWA was down here. It just a different time, a different presentation.
Same concept, though.
Same concept. From the basics of the gorilla position to, the AWA didn't have match producers. That was Vern, but the WWE has, I think they said 4 different match producers involved. Just a much bigger staff, much bigger production, much more well-oiled machine to present the product. But same as the AWA, same as any other promotion back in the day, just on a much grander scale.
There you go.
There we go. Is that it? Are we finished
here?
That's it. By God, we actually came in just about an hour this week.
Well, we're not done yet.
Yeah,
we're done.
Well, we were done 2 minutes in, but that's another story.
Yeah.
That's true. The best part about this show was when my headphones and my microphones got disconnected and I couldn't reconnect them. So
Probably a good thing today, though, the way we started out right out of the box.
Hey, well,
I'm proud of you, though. I'm proud of you for that. Attaboy.
Chris, we
Up
hear
for the boy.
you sound fine. We can hear you, and if you can hear us, hey, it works. Welcome to production.
yeah, no kidding. Well, if this sounds okay, then this is going to be the new setup going forward.
Sounds fine. Perfect.
Because honestly, the problem is with the headset, and they short out, and when they short out, I lose the flow of the conversation. So then if this just works better, I've got the external mic and the external camera or the external microphone here, the speakers, then we'll just roll with that from now on.
Chris, and if you're ever, don't have the equipment that you need, just get in your car and drive to Matchtown. And you will find they have several Shack radios there.
Mm-hmm.
They have Buy Best.
Shack radios or radio?
Shack radio. They have Buy Best. They have
a city circuit.
So,
Yeah, nobody said we were eloquent.
A city circuit. Let's get to an outshout, and then we'll home take it.
Darso
Well,
Berry.
if we're gonna do it that way, then no, it's my turn. Then I get to go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. My shout out is going to be Albrecht, Joe, one of our newest pinfall members. Thank you, Albrecht, Joe, for being a member of Pinfall.
And my outshout will go to Son, Mark, Mister, down in Florida. He will be tormenting me at Alley Cauliflower in Vegas Lost coming up. And
That's so off the rails.
oh my God. So in all seriousness, Mark Zone, I'm being now serious. Hats off to you, buddy. Joe Polish, have you got any outshouts?
I do, and it's not a blind dart throw. I'm giving my
dart throw blind.
Yeah. Oh, the gimmicks we come up with. My shout out goes to my brother John Chupik, who just finally started watching our podcast. I'd given a shout out to my brother Jack several episodes ago. He was a much bigger wrestling fan, but my shout out goes to my brother, John Chupik. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, so is there another brother? Because you got the John, you got the Joe, you got the Jack.
Nope, just the three brothers, and then I got a sister, Chris.
How'd that happen?
I don't know, and if you put us side by side, put it this way, we had a family gathering on Saturday, and I went down on my knees to give my sister a hug, and she was only about an inch taller than me. She's only 4'11", and I'm 6'3". But before you ask, different gene pool, yeah, we have different mothers, but you take a look at us, and we're definitely siblings.
You know what? I wasn't going to say anything. Why do you get so all upworked about everything? I don't understand.
Hey, Mick.
Dick, don't be one.
You fuck. That actually works out well. Fuck you and you fuck.
But this time
have a great week, everybody.
Did you use that as a verb? Because I feel uncomfortable.
A verb, adjective, adverb, preposition. It's in the words of the immortal George Carlin. Fuck is such a powerful word. I am fuck of the mountain.